All right, so I have my graphic organizer, I have my text, and now it's time to actually write my culminating writing task. If you do a graphic organizer well enough, then what you want to have, or if you're doing a longer essay, like we'll eventually do literary essays, and you'll have more notes, and than even just a graphic organizer, you'll probably have several pages of notes. You want whatever work you've done with the text to be your primary resource for writing your essay or your narrative. And you want this to be a reference. Think about references would be like a dictionary or a thesaurus. It's something you go to if you want to look something up just to make sure. But you want most of the work to have already been done with your graphic organizer or your notes already when you're starting your writing, and this is the reference. So I always tell students, if I see if I see you sitting there for like 5-10 minutes at a time with your book open and not your graphic organizer, then we've done something wrong. We want to make sure that this is kind of what we rely on. And in fact, if I were doing this in my notebook where I had a little bit more room, or if I was modeling it with an in-class group, I would have actually written a little bit more dialogue, things that I was going to include in my writing and full sentences than I did, but I know that would be difficult to see. So you want this to be your primary source for your writing. And like I said, if we're doing a literary essay, which is going to be a little bit more in terms of volume of writing, you might have several pages of notes or some way of tracking what's happening in a book. But you want that, whatever work you've done, to be your primary resource, and the text itself to be your backup, your reference. Okay, so we're going to start at the beginning. So I've got my document here. And so Lucy meets Mr. Tumnus. He's been dropping his parcels. It's snowing. And so we kind of did the beginning, the middle, and our end. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna write. We're gonna start and do this section, then our middle, and then our end. And I'm going to show you a trick. A lot of my students, when they write narratives, it's like a blob of text. And so I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to show you something you can do if you want to think about where do I actually insert my paragraphs? Where do I make paragraphs? So we're going to start with this section and start writing where Lucy meets Mr. Tumnus. He's dropping his parcels. He's thinking how strange. And then he's like, oh, it's a human. Okay, so here we go. Indent. I am shocked to see a human girl standing before me. She speaks to me, but I do not hear what she is saying, as I am picking up my parcels, which I just dropped in the cold snow. Cold, icy snow. Okay, and looking here, he asks if she's a human, daughter of Eve language. Okay, so I'm going to include that. I asked this girl if she is, in fact, a daughter of Eve. And while she seems to be curious about my question, comma, she confirms that she is a human being after all. Okay, so we've gotten this part. Now we're going to talk about Narnia. She doesn't seem to be familiar with Narnia at all, and comes from a far off place called Wardrobe and Spare Strange names and a strange place where it is summer and sunny. Okay, I got that summer and sunny because I'm thinking about, from his point of view, he seems to misunderstand where she's from. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the witch now, because that's what's going to be going on in his mind. That's why we put this on the inside. I get so lost in conversation that I almost forget why it's winter here and who is in charge. The White Witch, the Queen of Narnia. Who makes it ever so cold. And who has told me that if I ever see a human, I must bring them to her, whether it be a daughter of Eve or a son of Adam. Now, where am I getting that? I'm getting this from the second half of chapter 2, which we've already read. That would be going in through his mind then, but we don't know it because it's all from Lucy's point of view. Okay, and think about he's going to be conflicted. She's so nice, and he doesn't really know what to do. I know what I am supposed to do according to the Queen. But this Lucy, she seems so nice and kind. Okay, so he invites her back to his home. I invite her back to my home for tea and cakes and sardines. At first, she appears to be unsure if she should go with me. But then she decides she will. I have her take my arm and I cover us both with my umbrella, balancing the packages with my other arm. It feels strange to have a mythical creature grab hold of my arm and to be coming back to my home. Now, where did I get the whole mythical creature? You remember the books that are in his home are humans, or is man a myth? It's they've never seen humans before. So while she's thinking a fawn, it's a mythical creature. For him, a human is a mythical creature, but she's real. And then let's think about. Let's end on the note on the note that seems kind of happy. I surely hope that I figure out what to do. This girl is so kind, and I don't want her to get hurt. Okay, so I would want to proofread that and see things that I might want to include. Sometimes my students will include dialogue. So what they might do is they might look and they'll see, okay, when Lucy speaks or when Tumna speaks. So for instance, where it says, they say good evening and there's this whole conversation going, they might actually put that dialogue in there to make it better and to expand their writing. You also want to go over your graphic organizer, see if you left anything out. And I'm going to show you a trick. Remember, I said most students, and even I struggled with this when I first started teaching ELA, when I would write a narrative. When we write essays, we learn about paragraphs. We learn about when to start a paragraph and when not to. But with narratives, we usually just have like a blob of text. And so what I tell students to do, if you've done your graphic organizer, then wherever you've done your split between beginning, middle, and end, you can go ahead and indent, and then you'll have 3 paragraphs. Another thing you can do is if you're writing a scene from a book, every time a paragraph changes, then you can make, in the book, in a scene that you're writing, then you can also make those paragraphs in your text. And then finally, back to what we talked about with the dialogue. If you include dialogue in your actual narrative, then every time there's a dialogue, then that can be a split between paragraphs. And then it just makes your writing look better. I'm going to use this method, and I'm going to make 3 paragraphs. Okay, so that would be a split. And let's take proofread as well. And there we go. So we have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And we've done the preparation work. We've written our culminating writing task, and those are skills that you'll be able to use in other types of writing. But if you do the preparation, you use your text, and you have a graphic organizer, you have your notes, then you should be able to do your writing. And it makes it also a lot quicker because your writing will be timed in 5th grade, especially on the LEAP. All right, that's it for now.